Beyond the Golden Gate Bridge awaits glorious Marin County, home to sweeping vistas, diverse cultures, and inspiring causes. Join us for Marinterviews, profiling people and projects, creating a meaningful impact in our community. Hello and welcome back to Marinterviews, where we showcase people and projects making a difference in our community. Today I am beyond blessed to have Chanterria McGilbra with me, who is a dynamo businesswoman and also has her nonprofit foundation, Prancing Ponies. Welcome.
Oh my gosh, Sandra, it's so nice to see you. I know, hugs. We could hug for 10 minutes and I don't think it would be enough.
I know.
It's so great to see you.
It's so great, and I'm so glad to showcase your project. Tell me everything, how you were inspired to start Prancing Ponies.
Prancing Ponies Foundation, where we create women leaders one girl at a time. And it was inspired by basically my biotech that I was the first employee of, went public. And so I wanted to buy me a Yay Me gift.
That's right. I remember this story. This is terrific. And that little gift turned out to be, some people buy charm bracelets, and then you decided,
I'm going to buy me a little Ferrari 458 Spider 2015, the last year they were manufactured. And I had a really good time designing her. Of course, she's all titanium exterior and all chocolate suede interior. So her name is Coco.
That's perfect.
So I got her, and not knowing anything about Ferraris, I absolutely had no clue that, this was a car that people stared at. So I took her for a drive in San Francisco for the first time, and I was at a stoplight next to Galileo High School.
Oh, yeah.
And there were 3 girls at the bus stop. And one of the girls, it was an Asian, Black, and a Latino girl, and they were just playing around because the bus was late. Mm-hmm. It was a lot of traffic on Columbus. And
for a change.
Right. Exactly. So as I'm sitting there at the stoplight waiting for traffic to move, I'm sort of looking at them and reminiscing about my own high school life and how fun it was to just be able to kill an unlimited amount of time at a bus stop and not worry about it, having fun. And as I was looking at them, I didn't realize they were looking at me. And I'll never forget the Latina. She looked at me and she said, "Miss, I like your car." And I looked and I was startled out of my daydream. And I just looked at them and I didn't know where this came from, but I said, "I expect you to get one too." Wow. And I'll never forget their little eyes. They their eyes got wide and they just all sort of slowly shook their heads. And I thought,
focus, I can do something with my life.
Yeah, like this is an option for me. Mm-hmm. And I thought, as I drove away, oh, that's why I got this car. Mm-hmm. And so, needless to say, I didn't know in that moment it was going to be Prancing Ponies.
You always had a huge heart. And then how did that parlay into your foundation, and what are you doing with that inspiration?
Yeah, well, initially my foundation, our mission is creating women leaders one girl at a time, because all women start off as girls. So I created an academy, a 6-week summer academy, where we taught girls basically the skills to expedite their career growth. So the first 5 years of any job, especially straight out of college, you're wasting time learning, not wasting time, but you're learning how to do presentations, set up meetings, who to invite to meetings, how to politic, how to market yourself.
The network, and those young kids don't always like that word.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, I even have someone that comes in and teaches them how to interview on television.
That's great.
Because it's the same as interviewing in person, right? 100%. So that was very successful. We had our first academy in Paris, and then our second one in Novato, and in 20...
Very similar.
Yeah, very similar.
The skylines are similar.
Yes. Who knew?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And so, we, in 2019, we got the attention of CSU, Cal State University, Monterey Bay.
Oh, Monterey Bay, that's right.
And
okay,
we started negotiating with them to actually host our academy on their site, on their campus.
All right.
And that was going to start in 2020. Well, we all know what happened then.
Man, and that just must have been like a it was a brick wall for so many people. Just all of that, all of those, all that foundation and the growth and those girls and their learning and their experience, and then it just
came to a halt, absolute halt. Yeah. So that was a bit. I mean, I think 2020 was unnerving for everyone. So I'm not unique in that way, but it was unnerving for us in that we had to figure out how do we service our mission.
Yeah. Reset.
And yeah, we had to pivot, right? And so what we do now is we provide low-income women of color. We fund their access to online workshops, seminars, and conferences.
Oh, that's wonderful, because that skyrocketed. Absolutely. The access to those kind of platforms.
But not to low-income women. They were still charging the same prices they were as if they were in person. And, I had attended a lot of those, and I saw a lot of women like me who were just out of boredom, or if I learned one or two things, it's worth the money kind of, Right. But what I didn't see were low-income women who really needed this information, because you talk about people who had to pivot. Yeah. These women were feeding 3 kids on minimum wage or waitress salary or bartender salary, and now they're completely out of work. And they had to pivot in a great way in terms of, do I go into an office and have a full-time job with benefits, right, or do I wait this out and see how long it'll go? And so
everything went so virtual, it was just debilitating for so many people.
Absolutely. And so, my board and I, we got together towards the end of middle end of, so the fall of 2020. Yeah. And essentially we said, well, what can we do? And we spent 2 hours just dumping. We did a brain dump, all of the ways we could service our mission and still be of value to our community, which is women. Mm-hmm. And we came up with this idea to provide low-income women online access to the information they need to better their lives. That's terrific. But we realized we couldn't ask low-income women to give up work, their income, for self-betterment. So we also provide them a stipend to make them whole based on their current salary. We provide them a stipend, which is at their gross salary, not their net. And if it's a 3-day conference, we pay them 3 days worth of their salary so they can continue to pay bills and take care of their families.
So you have been able to, have you found success in some of these seminars and been able to, are you essentially sponsoring these girls?
Yes, so absolutely. We're excited. This is actually going to be our first cohort in this winter. We received, we are applying to various grants, and we are receiving very positive feedback. So the more money we get, the more we give. I mean, we're a virtual organization now. We will not go to brick and mortar. We realize it's cost savings for us as a nonprofit. And we get just as much done virtually as we would in person. We've reduced our expenses significantly. And so essentially, we've gotten our operating expenses down to 10%, and the rest goes to the women. So,
are you currently looking for sponsors? Are there ways people can, through a program like this, that we can help you get the word out? Because this just seems very valuable.
Absolutely. So, one of my goals when we did this, I said, I want to spend $0 on marketing. One, because we have our car show, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, but that's really, the largest marketing we can do and fundraising we can do. But essentially, I decided we're going to be a service provider to the service providers, to the community service providers.
That's a great niche.
Yeah. And so we don't go out and advertise ourselves to women. I mean, I talk about us all the time, but essentially we work through other community service organizations, faith-based organizations, homeless, food insecurity organizations. And we essentially say, you work with your women every day. Yeah. You know who's ready for a program like this. And so then they recommend them to our site. It's very simple. There's a very simple online application they complete. Once a quarter, my board, we meet. If we have the money, we fund.
That's great. we're coordinating all our social. We'll make sure to do that. And let's get with the time we have left. I want to talk about Monterey and what you did, because it's spectacular.
It's very exciting. Yes, it is. So we have, in addition to the first all-female Ferrari rally in the world.
You just started thinking, I can't be the only one, but there aren't a lot of me.
Exactly. And I was thinking, how do I differentiate my nonprofit from the millions of nonprofits in the nation? And I thought, well, we are named after Ferraris, so why don't we do our first event as a marketing event? And it ended up being 2 of them. We did our first all-female Ferrari rally from San Francisco to Santa Barbara.
That's right.
And we were covered by over 100 media outlets, including Bloomberg followed us for 3 days. We met Oprah. Yeah. I mean, the marketing really kicked off for us there. And then we did from Milan to Monaco the following year.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I know that's.
I bet you knew all. Well, you lived there, so you knew all those little hairpin turns, didn't you? Oh, how fun.
It was a lot of fun. So we broke some records and had some fun while we were doing it. And so then we held our first academy in Paris. And then we came back, did our first car show, which, I thought maybe I'll do something like that 5 years from now. I didn't think that was going to be feasible. So
was that in Monterey?
That was in Carmel. It's always been in Carmel by the sea.
Mm-hmm. How did you stumble upon how to enter, and how did you arrange to actually participate?
Oh, absolutely. So again, this was right after our rally from San Francisco to Santa Barbara in 2016. Mm-hmm. And all of us ladies met during Monterey Car Week that week, and we just hung out and we had a blast. I mean, so much fun.
Perfect place to meet.
Yeah. And I started talking to people saying, I really, next year, I just want to rent, reserve parking spaces so us girls can park our cars in front of the restaurant we are, talk to people, go shopping, have some drinks, and just enjoy a day during Monterey Car Week. And the mayor at the time, Steve Dallas, he said, well, why don't you do a car show? And I said, oh, yeah, I'll get to that in about 5 years. Yeah, I mean, that's a big endeavor. Yeah, it is. And he said, no, do it this upcoming year. And, I'm of the preface that when the universe gives you an opportunity that big,
100%,
you say yes, and then you figure it out later. But so I said, yeah.
I bet you did.
I did figure it out.
So do your members of your Prancing Ponies, do you delegate and have everybody step up to the plate to help you facilitate these events?
Oh, yes, absolutely. This year, this is our 4th car show. It should have been our 6th, but this was our 4th car show. I know. But, after 4 years of doing this, I was so honored that the city, Carmel by the Sea, the town, mm-hmm. they gave us Ocean Avenue. We were always on the side street. Wow. So we blocked off 6 blocks on Ocean Avenue. We had 72 cars and 10,000 spectators.
Oh, my goodness.
Absolutely. I know. That's what I keep saying that. It's still overwhelmingly shocking to me that happened.
And you have your passion of this hobby. Yeah. And yet you can also promote a foundation of where you're giving back to the community. And that is just a perfect blend of, and you're educating other people instead of being just, we all know Carmel and Monterey is just so fancy schmancy and charming, but there are people there that probably, hopefully appreciated knowing there's something else going on after all the bells and whistles, is that there's a foundation that is worth hopefully supporting, donating to, et cetera.
Absolutely. It's one of our biggest fundraisers. We've been able to break even in these past years with a little help from me. But essentially it's the Prancing Ponies Women's Car Show. Okay. Right? That's our name. Right. And It's still within our mission. Our mission is creating women leaders, one girl at a time. I mean, you talk about breaking barriers, right? You talk about glass ceilings. Try car show world, right? And us being the first and only still women's car show during Monterey Car Week or any major car week in the world, we are the only women's car show still.
And where are you at in the women of color participatory group? I'm thinking you might be a minority in that realm too.
I'm a minority of the minority of the minority of the minority. Let's just be honest. I mean, it's hard to find, people of color, Black people in particular, but lots of people of color in these events anyway. Black women, non-existent. Exactly. And so the fact that I own a car show, it's absolutely supports our mission, creating women leaders, one girl at a time, because what we don't realize is that empowered mothers raise empowered girls, right? Who become empowered leaders. And so women, I mean, it takes a lot of courage to say, I love my car enough to go show it and exhibit it at a car show during Monterey Car Week. I mean, it's a big deal. And on Ocean Avenue. And it takes a lot of courage to do that. It's 100%. And so I'm really in awe of the women who show up. I mean, they're a little anxious sometimes. I mean, the veterans, there have been women who've been coming since day one, and they are very comfortable. This is their car show. Yeah. But there are always new women who say, I'm going to give it a try this year. And their husbands are saying, yeah, go, baby, go, And so it's really great because the husbands are just as excited for the women as the women are for themselves. And
you're educating them too. Let's face it, the car world is an old boys club. And I can imagine that you have really broken through with this event and with your foundation and what you're doing.
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, it's the girliest car show you'll ever go to. We do start with breakfast at Tiffany's, literally at Tiffany's. And what woman doesn't want to do that? And then we have a fashion show. We have a VIP area and, food.
You've really made this an event.
Absolutely. A woman's event. Yeah, I always, when putting on events, I always say, what would I like to see in an event? And that's what I do.
Well, Chanterria, I know you have a success story. I'm just guessing you have one of your favorite success stories you could tell me because I know how long you've been doing this.
Oh, yeah. We had a student in our academy. Her name is Vanessa Grant. And this was our first year because we were trying virtual. And this was in 2018 at our academy here in Novato. And not only did she attend it virtually, which meant she was often attending at hours that were really late for her. But she would attend, she'd had her head bonnet on, in bed, and she would be active and very engaged in all of our activities. And I was just so proud of her. And I'll never forget the day she was so excited when she got a position at Toyota in Belgium. Wow. In the environmental sciences department. And so, I mean, she to this day, I'm just so incredibly proud of her. She keeps in touch. She lets me know how she's doing and what she's up to. And I'm always actively thinking about her and in ways that I can expand her world and her experience, her network.
It's such a great example for you to be able to talk about with the other. Are they students? What do you call them?
Well, now they're not, right? Yeah. They're all graduated now. Yeah. So, and working in the world. And I'm really proud of every last one of the young ladies who went through the program. They are all doing incredibly successful, traveling and very focused on their young careers, but nonetheless doing very, very well. So.
Well, that's a big pat on the back for you, too, that you had this idea and then you pushed through and made it happen. Yeah. Well, we are going to have, when we get all our social put up, we will make sure to know, I want to know how people can reach you. Is it the website? Can they donate?
Absolutely. You can find everything on our website, prancingponies.org. We have Prancing Ponies, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, of course. And we probably have several Facebook pages. Yeah. But feel free to reach out to us in any way. Most of the communication comes straight to me, although some does go to my assistant. But I try to respond to everyone who sends communication and is interested in the organization and donating in particular, which you can do straight online. You don't even have to contact me if you feel so inclined.
Perfect. Oh, well, I think this is just the perfect platform to bring attention to, and I'm very proud to know you, and I'm very proud to wrap up this edition of MarinTerviews, and we'll be back soon. And also, don't forget to supply any suggestions of anybody else that would be a worthy subject, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me.
MarinTerviews, produced in partnership with Marin Arts, Marin Link, Truce, and D2ISF. Please join us on our mission. Nominate a person or program to be profiled either in studio, location, or Zoom. Sponsor a segment. We look forward to working with you.